So are still frames in anime a good thing or a bad thing? It is a bad thing, but it also can be a good thing. When you hear of still frames in anime, you usually think of bad animation because it's not moving, but actually, still frames really help with the presentation of the show, and I want to show y'all the differences in good uses of still frames and bad uses of still frames. A good use of still frames is for a normal shot of a character's face. When you see a scene in anime where a character is not speaking, 9 times out of 10, it's just a still frame. I'll put some shots up there for examples, but normally for those close-up face shots, they use still frames, and this is not a bad thing, guys. They really want you to focus on the drawing because they're trying to tell you something, and they usually use still frames for the eye shots because the eye is normally really detailed. These still shots are really effective for me, and the best way to tell if a still frame is good or not is the amount of detail on it. If the drawing has detail and it looks good, I see no problem with it. Even if it's a full body shot of a character, I see nothing wrong with that. And anime doesn't always need to be moving, so I think there are correct places to use still frames. And another reason why they use still frames is for big scaled scenes. It's really hard to animate a lot of people on screen and a big monster with a bunch of details, so they have to go with a still frame because the animation will be way too complicated. And those are all the good reasons why they use still frames in anime. Now into the bad. So the bad reason they use still frames in anime is because of limited animation. So this one is pretty self-explanatory. Because they don't have enough time or resources to finish an animation, they have to cut corners and use still frames. And this is more directed towards the action scenes in anime because action scenes need animation and movement, and still frames are the exact opposite of that. And when you see a still frame in an action scene, it can be pretty noticing and jarring. But that's just how it is, guys. If there are still frames, that does show there are issues. But honestly, I don't care because a majority of shows nowadays will have animation issues. So still frames are gonna show up in your shows whether you like it or not for good or bad reasons. So guys, still frames are good and bad, but every time you see a still frame does not mean it's bad. But still frames in action scenes are probably the worst. But let me know, guys, how you feel about still frames. Do you like them? Do you not like them? Just let me know your thoughts.